Welcome to the INBODY 570. Before I get started, there is two things we should have. First of all, a printout that looks like mine in front. Second of all, you should have a little booklet called the Interpretation Guide. Now let's get started. First of all, double check that the ID is your name, you have your correct height, your correct age, gender. Now, we're going to scroll down a little bit and we're going to first target where my cursor is, the muscle fat analysis section. Now first up, we've got your current weight in kilos. And that's broken down into heaps of different things and we're about to go through them right now. So underneath our weight, you'll find SMM. This stands for skeletal muscle mass. So it's how much muscle mass you have on your bodies as a kilo amount. So on this example in front of me, 31.9 kilos. All right. As you can see, it is well above the average to what this female should have, which is not a bad thing, and I'll explain this further on. Underneath your muscle mass, we have a section called body fat mass. It's how many kilos of body fat you currently have on your body. So the example in front of me is 9.7 kilos. As you can see, it's well and truly underneath the normal range. BMI stands for body mass index. Okay, the normal healthy range is between 18.5 and 28. Body fat percentage. Okay, how much body fat your body makes up as a whole percentage of your body. So the example in front is 14.7%. Now normal for a female is 18 to 28%, and normal body fat percentage for a male is 10 to 20%. Now let's take a further look. This is the breakdown of your skeletal muscle mass. So how much muscle mass you have on your body. So your right arm, if we concentrate on the top value there, so for example, 3.17 kilos in this example's right arm. In their left arm, they have 3.09, so it's fairly close, okay? Not too much of a difference there. Then we go further onto our trunk, is how many kilos if you cut your arms and cut your legs off, so the rest of your body, 25.2. You've got your right leg, 8.42, and then your left leg muscle mass, 8.19. So in this example, you can see there's quite a large difference between your right leg and the left leg. Therefore, my recommendation for this example is concentrating on single-legged movements to pick up that left leg muscle mass. Other than that, there could be an underlying issue, whether there's been a previous injury or something like that. Now, ECW stands for extracellular water, which is water found outside the cells in the body, and this is a ratio in comparison to your total body water. Now you'll find your total body water right up in the top. So this example here, 40.9 litres of water on the body. Now ideally your body should be made up of 60%, remembering that is not a percentage, that is litres. So when we look back down into our water ratio, we should sit between that 0.360 and 0.39. If not, if you're below the 0.36, it could mean something like a dehydration. If you're above 3.9, it could mean some kind of cell condition. So if it is far over, I would recommend to go seek some professional advice on that one. The INBODY score up the top. So this is a score, okay, out of 100. Now the machine rates you based off your muscle mass and your body fat. So the more muscle mass we have, the higher that number is going to be. The more body fat though, the lower it's going to bring that score down. And this is when we're going to refer back into our interpretation guide. So if we flick over our interpretation guide to page number 7, down the bottom you're going to see the breakdown of your point score. So if you scored a score of 70 or less, this indicates a lack of muscle, the possibility of being extremely underweight or overweight, requiring exercise and diet control. If you scored between 70 and 80, average person off the street, reasonably healthy. If you scored 80 to 85, those who actively look after their diet and exercise. And 85 and above, usually very fit or carrying a large amount of skeletal muscle mass. So this will give you a general direction into what changes we need to make. Following this is our weight control. Now for this example, there's no changes that need to be made because This example, the weight is in the normal range, the muscle mass is nice and high, okay, and the body fat is nice and low. Now, what we'll look at is your fat control. So if you've got a value of number there, what that means is it gets your total body fat and goes, okay, how much do you need to lose to get that total body fat back to the center of the normal? So this example is well and truly below the normal, therefore needs to make no changes. Then underneath that is muscle mass. Now this could either be a positive or a negative number. Now depending on whereabouts your muscle mass sits within your graph will depend on whether we need to increase muscle mass. If you've got a really low reading of muscle mass, it might say to gain 2 kilos, okay? That will bring that value once again to the center of the normal. So it's a good indication of how much excess either body fat or how much more muscle mass we need on our body. So that's a very, very important section there, and I'd recommend to take a good close eye on that one and make those changes we need to make. Now the body balance evaluation has to do with this muscle mass down the bottom. So in this example, upper body is very balanced. So the values there are very close together, which is fantastic. As I did mention earlier, there is a large difference of muscle mass between both these legs. So we're sitting at 8.4 and 8.19, which actually throws the balance out just slightly. Then we have the upper and lower body, which is a combination of the whole thing. So we should be able to create a pretty much a straight line, which this example isn't too bad. We're still in that balanced section, which is great. Now, let's move on to the fat and whereabouts it's sitting in our body. So the segmental fat analysis. So this here, your right arm, okay? In this example, we have 0.4, so 400 grams of body fat, which equals 39.4%. Left arm, 0.4 as well, 42%. The trunk has 4.7 kilos of body fat, right leg at 1.5 and identical in the left leg at 1.5. So depending on your values here, we want to have a look across to the percentages. Now, remembering 100% is what we consider normal, so it just gives you a direction of how much body fat and whereabouts your body fat's sitting. So in this example, the upper body is quite lean, followed by the legs, and the midsection is where most of the body fat is being carried. Underneath, we move on to our segmental circumferences. Now this is the internal circumferences of each of your body parts. So it's a good idea to go through and see whether your arms and legs especially are identical. So in this example, perfect example, okay, of 30.4 through each of the arms and 50.6 through the legs. Now this is very, very uncommon. Most of the time, everybody will have some kind of imbalancement. Now let's move on to our visceral fat. Now visceral fat is very, very bad for us. It's the fat that surrounds your organs and stops them from functioning properly. Now you'll get a level score, which is your score you scored today. Now it'll position you somewhere through this low to high with a 10 in the middle. Now the normal range for your visceral fat should lie between a 1 and a 9. If we're above the 9, we need to make some drastic changes to either diet or increasing your exercise to be able to lower that visceral fat down, because you're making your body work harder than what it should. Now underneath here we go through intracellular water. Now intracellular water is water found inside the cells. Because this example of muscle mass is well and truly above the average, we'd expect the water to be high. Therefore, the normal range is 19.1 to 23.3, and this example has 26 litres. Then you have the extracellular water, which is water found outside the cells. Once again, because the muscle mass is so high in this example, so should the water levels. Your basal metabolic rate is how many calories your body burns daily at a rested state. We then have your waist to hip ratio. So this example is 0.84, which is within the normal ranges on the side of 0.75 and 0.85. We then have another visceral fat level reading of 3 with the normal parameters on the side of 1 to 9. Your bone mineral content, the more bone the better. If you're training and lifting weights, I'd expect that your bone mineral content should be well and truly above the normal range. So this one here, perfect example of 3.11 kilos. Body cell mass is how many cells your body is made up of. Once again, the more muscle mass you have, the more body cells we should have. So once again, because the muscle mass is high, okay, so is the body cell mass at 37.2. Then we have a couple arm circumferences, okay, that will give you a good indication of how much body fat or muscle mass we are gaining or either losing. Now, if we go back up to the body composition analysis located at the top, I just want to go through our proteins. Now, your proteins are very, very important. If you want to be training and recovering quickly and getting the muscle mass we required, we need to make sure these protein levels are high. As you can see, this example is 11.2 kilos and the normal is 8.3 to 10.1. So this indicates that this example has a very high protein diet, but is also very healthy, going off our minerals. So 3.77, normal ranges of 2.84 and 3.48. If your proteins are really low, it's going to make it really hard for you to recover after a workout or even put any form of muscle mass on. So just be aware of them. Every time you go through one of these scans, it is very important that we do keep an eye on these values. We always want the proteins and minerals to grow or stay the same, as well as our bone mineral content and our body cell mass are another two very important ones that should always increase and never decrease. I hope this really helps you explain your INBODY 570, and I wish you all the best. Thank you and goodbye.